And we start off with some breaking news ahead of the AICC meeting on January the 17th. The Congress machinery appears busy in setting the groundwork for Rahul Gandhi to be projected as the party's prime ministerial nominee. Now, in a first, his reluctance towards accepting the top job appears to be fading. He says whatever responsibility is handed to him by the party, now or in the future, he is willing to accept it and fulfill it to the best of his abilities. Now, interestingly, he appears to be hinting at Narendra Modi when he says that there were rulers in India who are remembered for uniting people and others like Aurangzeb who were known for their cruel reign, adding that the Congress party has been working towards uniting people for the last 100 years. Rahul Kavala, editor-at-large, now joining us on the phone line. Rahul Gandhi preparing for the top job now. His fears and his hesitation actually seem to be fading.
Well, he's made absolutely clear in this interview, Sanjana, that he is prepared to bite the bullet. He says, I will take up any responsibility that my party gives me. He says, reluctance is a word that doesn't exist in my dictionary because he's been pilloried in the past. People have derided him for being a reluctant politician. He says that word itself doesn't exist in my dictionary. I will take up whatever responsibility I am given, making very clear that very soon we will see Rahul Gandhi being chosen as the party's prime ministerial face. This is his first interview in the longest time, his first official interview. There was one which he gave to a news magazine which he later retracted from, but this is his first official interview. It's the first, we are told, of many that he intends to do. He's picked the most circulated Hindi daily for the purpose of giving this interview, and he's made very clear that not Priyanka Gandhi but him, but it's he who will be in charge of the party's campaign. He says, Priyanka will only help me, she's my friend, but I will be in charge, she won't contest. And this is Rahul Gandhi really shedding some of the reticence that has come to be associated with him, right, and showing that he's the man in pole position for 2014.
And also, interestingly, let's just talk about the other aspect. He appears to be hinting at Narendra Modi when he says that there were rulers in India who are remembered for uniting people and others like Aurangzeb who are known for their cruel reign. So this is also a sort of a veiled attack, but an attack nonetheless against the BJP's prime ministerial candidate.
Well, not just that, Sanjana. He also says in the interview that the BJP's campaign is about the personality of one person. And one person cannot lead a nation. To lead a nation, you have to be inclusive, you have to take people along, especially those at the bottom of the pyramid. So those are all direct pot shots at Narendra Modi. He's trying to project Narendra Modi as an autocrat who doesn't listen to people, who doesn't take people along with him, who will always want to do things his way. And he's projecting himself subconsciously as someone who's more inclusive, who's more prepared to listen to poor and the impoverished and try and take them along with him. That's the message he's sending out. He's also saying that there have been leaders like Akbar, like Ashok, who've been unifying figures in India's history. They're the ones people remember. And there have been autocrats and despots like Aurangzeb who've divided the nation. He says it's the Congress party which over the last 100 years has been playing the role of unifying India, and that's the role he hopes to continue playing. This really is very significant from the perspective of this being Rahul's first interview. He's also taken pot shots at the Aam Aadmi Party, Sanjana, in this interview.
Right.
There are several things that Kejriwal and gang are doing which they don't agree with, that a lot of it is short-term gains, whereas the Congress seems more focused on long-term benefits.
Absolutely, and even more interestingly, what the BJP's demand for the Congress-free Bharat and the rising popularity of Narendra Modi that we in fact even spoke about. But more, let's just focus about Priyanka Gandhi. Just yesterday we found out that sources in fact were telling headlines today that she will in fact be a big part of the strategy and campaign from Rai Bareilly and Amethi, but it will stick to that. So let's just focus more about that. We understand that she's not going to be, all out there, but she's definitely going to be a very important, integral part of the Congress's mission for 2014 general elections.
Well, there are two dimensions to this question. One, what is happening behind the scenes. Behind the curtains, Priyanka Gandhi is playing a very important role in helping Rahul get his messaging right, helping him with what he says, how he says it, helping him also in planning his campaign strategy, not just for Uttar Pradesh but across the country. That's the role that as the sister, as the voting sister, she's playing behind the scenes. But the Congress party realizes that there cannot be two centers of power, and therefore for all official projection, Rahul Gandhi is the face that's been put forward for the 2014 elections, and Priyanka, as the loving sister, is going out of her way to try and help Rahul. But mind you, just the fact that she's campaigning or helping out with the campaign in Raebareli, especially in Amethi, doesn't mean that that's the only role that she's playing. The Congress leaders might not accept it, but even they know that behind the scenes she's playing a far more important role, because she realizes that the party cannot afford to come down to 60, 70 seats. That the party has to put its best foot forward, that they have to back Rahul Gandhi, that he's finally taking the plunge, and both mother and daughter are going out of the way, as they legitimately would, to try and ensure that they are there as pillars of support for Rahul Gandhi.
Right, Rahul, and more importantly, Rahul Gandhi has very recently become very vocal about a lot of things, be it the Lokpal bill, Section 377, pushing for more issues. So the fact that when he's targeting Modi, AAP, and hinting at accepting the prime ministerial post, so that sort of, hitting the nail on the head, or sort of just confirming it.
There's a charitable view on this and there's an uncharitable view. I'll give the charitable view first. A lot of what Kejriwal is now trying to do is stuff that Rahul Gandhi has been saying for the last 10 years, but he's always met with resistance from within the system, and therefore didn't want to rock the boat beyond a point, and therefore held back and never pushed through the same ideas that he holds, the same ideas that Kejriwal is now trying to put into play, making politics more open, bringing in youngsters, bringing in those from outside the dynasties, which is what Kejriwal is doing, which Rahul has been talking about. But the uncharitable view is that Rahul never had the conviction to go ahead and make those decisions happen, because no one would have stopped him from going ahead and opening up the Congress party or not giving tickets to Dinesh. There are vested interests within the party which stopped him from doing so, and if he was truly convinced, like Kejriwal is, he could have rammed those decisions through, like he's rammed through the decision on the Lokpal bill, despite senior minister having taken an alternate view. So it is very clear that he was attempting to do the right things, but didn't feel that he could push ahead, didn't want to undermine the Prime Minister's authority, and therefore held back. But after the 8th of December, Rahul Gandhi himself and people around him have realized that the Congress party is sinking, and unless they take charge immediately, unless they disassociate with the baggage of the Manmohan Singh-led UPA government, their party could be in opposition for the long haul. And therefore, with the special session being called in the first week of February, with all the decisions that they now intend to get taken, the Rahul Gandhi is trying to project a new, more assertive, more aggressive face of the Congress, building up 2014 Lok Sabha elections. The only question, Sanjana, is this too late now for Rahul Gandhi to try and make this image makeover? Because in their minds, a lot of people have already decided what they wish to do and where they hope to vote for in the 2014 election.
Rahul, we also have KC Tyagi of the JDU joining us. Mr. Tyagi, Rahul Gandhi, in fact, coming out hinting that he is sort of ready to be the prime ministerial candidate for the Congress in 2014.
Hello?
Yes, sir, go on.
I could not listen to you properly. Yes?
Sir, if you can hear me, Rahul Gandhi, in fact, has come out and given an exclusive interview, and it's definitely first of its kind. Rahul Gandhi, in fact, hinting that he is ready to be the prime ministerial candidate for the Congress, claiming that he will, in fact, take on any responsibility that the party expects him to.
But this is the decision of the Congress party, and it is not the leaders. It is the policies which will determine the future course of the country. Let it be Rahul Gandhi, let it be Kejriwal, let it be Narendra Modi. What kind of political policy, what kind of economic policy you are pursuing for? It matters much to us in the choice of the leaders.
Yes, sir, go on.
There is no difference between the economic policy of the Congress party and the of Rahul's party or Narendra Modi's party. We welcome the decision of the Delhi government rejecting the offer of the SBI in retail.
Right.
It's slightly deviation from the Congress and the BJP economic policy, and we welcome the step taken by Mr. Kejriwal's party.
Right, KC Tyagi of the JDU, thank you so much for speaking with Headlines today. Akhilesh Pratap Singh of the Congress also joining us on the phone line. Sir, definitely one bit, Rahul definitely is not as hesitant now to be Prime Ministerial candidate because he is hinting that he is willing to take on any responsibility that the party expects him to. But interestingly, what appears in his interview, hinting at Narendra Modi when he says that there were rulers in India who are remembered for uniting people and others like Aurangzeb who were known for their cruel reign.
नहीं तो हिंदुस्तान में या कहीं भी किसी भी मुल्क में जो लोगों को जोड़ता हो, जो लोगों को साथ लेके चलता हो, जो लोगों की चिंता करता हो, वही बहुत दिनों तक याद किया जाता है। ये तो यथार्थ है। और जिस प्रकार से मोदी जी का व्यक्तित्व है, मोदी जी का जो एक परसेप्शन है, एक उनका आभा मंडल है और जो उनकी विचारधारा है, वो तो कहीं से नहीं लगती जुड़ने वाली है।
Right, Akhilesh Pratap Singh of the Congress, thank you so much for speaking with Headlines today. We'll try and get back to him in a bit. Kartikeya Sharma, our political editor, now joining us on the phone line. Kartikeya, give us your reading of this. Rahul Gandhi, in fact, has been vocal in the past about a lot of issues. Very recently, being more vociferous, more vocal, be it about the Lokpal bill or Section 377. And right now, definitely the hesitation to be the prime ministerial candidate for the Congress doesn't seem to be there anymore. Now he's more confident saying that he will do anything that the party expects him to.
You see, I see this interview in three shades. One is that, Sanjana, this is an interview where Rahul Gandhi has said what he wanted to and has avoided certain extremely important, crucial issues. This is part and parcel of Rahul Gandhi's media campaign whereby he addresses issues on which he is comfortable and party is comfortable. For example, if you just look at the format, there is not a single question on 2G, there is not a single question on the 3G issue, there is not a single question on Robert Vadra, there is not a single question on the policy paralysis or the Ministry of Environment.
Right.
This is primarily an incursion which the team Rahul has made to address certain issues about Rahul Gandhi, that he is the leader, about Priyanka Gandhi, that she's going to play a role in assisting Rahul in the organization. It is about what Rahul thinks of Narendra Modi in subtle words. So I would say this is part of a media tactic whereby before 17th, certain speculations are put to rest, if you ask me. Certain issues are clarified before 17th of January, mini AICC session, and the projection of Rahul takes place in the right direction and is not lost around those issues which have to do with the Prime Minister or the regime previous to him.
Right now, Kartikeya, would this also be important and significant considering that the Congress is desperately in search of a political message that will provide the necessary inspiration to the party's rank and file ahead of the elections?
Not only necessary message, I would say that this was something which they desperately required, Sanjana. Because you see, two things were happening. One, people had no idea as to what Rahul Gandhi thought when it comes to the most important job. Because, he has used this word that there is no thing such as reluctance in my dictionary, in my mind. And now reluctance is one word which has been stuck with Mr. Gandhi the day he joined politics in 2004. So, you look at those issues on which he has spoken. These are the issues which Rahul would have wanted to address, but you cannot do that because, every interview has certain parameters. So what the team Rahul has done here is that they have defined certain issues which are extremely crucial to persona of Rahul Gandhi.
Right.
And then Rahul Gandhi has addressed those issues forever. For example, I'll give you three examples of the interview. That he is comparing two historical figures. Two historical figures which have been appropriated by our modern democratic India. One, Ashok. Second, medieval.
Right.
More plural in nature, Akbar. Third, highly controversial, Aurangzeb. Second thing, there is no reluctance in my word. Fourth, ready for any responsibility which this party gives me. And the part of that fourth is, Priyanka is going to assist me, but then I don't think she's interested in electoral politics. So he is the leader, he is the political author, and she supports the brother from the sidelines. These are the subtext of the interview is that he's clarifying his position. He is not addressing issues which are critical of the government or critical to the way UP has functioned. These are the issues which he has clarified are those which his team wanted to clarify. We have to see it from this perspective.
Absolutely, Kartikeya Sharma, our political editor.